Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. I work predominantly with avoidance. I work with dismissive avoidance and I do work with a lot of fearful avoidants who are leaning more dismissive. And so a lot of my knowledge and information are individuals who are avoidant. However, I do work with a lot of men. I work with some females. And I notice a difference between male and female avoidance, and I'll make a video on that at one point. But I kind of noticed there's a difference between why an avoidant man, and men in general, honestly, leave relationships and marriage. And when I'm talking about this particularly, I'm not talking about when they're being triggered, right? Avoidants leave when they're triggered, but I don't really consider that a real leave. And I made a video on how to stop that from happening. And so you guys can look at my playlist or my library or whatever it's called. And you can look at how to stop an avoidant from leaving when they're triggered. But this video is not about when they're triggered. It's about when they actually are done with a relationship. And this can apply to even secure and anxious men, but it's much more common with avoidant men. So I did want to mention that this can apply to all other men. It's a generalization though, because this could apply to females, it could apply to anybody, but really more predominantly with men and then avoidant men. I do want to mention this is just highlighting when they actually want to leave. So it may be a little bit hard for some of you to digest because it's not their trigger. It's when they actually want to leave. And I think it can be helpful to know this because you guys don't want failed relationships, right? So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. And if you guys have any questions, you can put in the comments. Let's go. So the first one is avoidant men and men in general. They tend to leave, and they've told me this, when they feel like their partner has no life goals outside of the marriage. So what does that mean and what can you do instead? So a lot of partners of my avoidant patients that the avoidant eventually does leave and they genuinely leave, they feel like the only thing that their partner needs and wants is the marriage. And the avoidant partner and men in general can feel kind of suffocated by that. And they can also feel like there's not much for you guys to talk about outside the marriage because that's all that you have. So if you're the partner and the only goal and the only thing you have is, to be a wife or a husband and all you want to do is just focus on that, that can sometimes be a lot for an avoidant partner or a man in general because they don't operate like that. A lot of times they don't. And I'm being honest with you, it's just not the way a lot of men operate. They have a lot of extensive other things outside of a relationship. That's just the way that a lot of them were just raised, right? And so if you don't really have any sort of goals, to them, it can even be a turnoff because they're thinking, if you don't have any goals, what are you bringing to this relationship? And that can be a real question that they genuinely have. It's not a trigger. So what can you do instead? What you can do instead is actually have some real goals outside of the relationship, whether it's you want to go back to school or you want to, you want to start doing this 5K run, or you want to start, meal planning. You want to work on your fitness. You want to learn more about history. You want to start, opening up a book club, whatever it is, have some life goals that you can have, even if it's not life goals. It can just be small goals that you have throughout your life. You want to start eating better. You want to start decorating the house. You want to start getting higher education. You want to get a promotion by the end of this year. Whatever it is, just so you can bring something to the marriage. Even if it's not bringing something directly to the marriage, it's bringing something to you, which then comes into the marriage. And it helps you guys. Not even the marriage, the relationship. So that's really important. The next one is lack of self-care. Now, this one may come across a little hurtful, but I am telling you, almost every single man in my office, avoidant or not, when they want to leave a relationship, this is one of the first things and one of the last things that they tell me before they leave a relationship. Lack of self-care. What does that mean? It can mean anything, but typically what it means, at least from my caseload, is usually they feel like you're letting yourself go. So maybe when you guys first met, you, wore nice dresses or suits or whatever you guys were wearing. You put makeup on a certain way. You did your hair a certain way. And now you have completely stopped doing those things at all. It doesn't mean you have to always wear makeup and you always have to have your hair done, your nails done, but not doing it at all makes the partner feel like you don't care. So it's not that they think you're ugly or unattractive. That's not what it is. And a lot of people think that's what it is, which is why they feel uncomfortable. They feel like when you're letting yourself go, you don't care enough and you don't respect them. And I made a video very recently about how important respect is to avoidance. So when you don't show respect, the avoidant individual really pulls away from this relationship. And it's a genuine reason because that's one of their needs. They need to be respected. And if you're disrespecting them, it's really hard for them to feel really connected to this relationship. So what can you do instead? Always be on top of your own self-care. And that's in general, right? Any relationship, even the relationship with yourself. You will lose respect for yourself if you don't care for yourself. And that's really important. So if you used to had a time where you would go to yoga or whatever it is, don't sacrifice that just for the relationship. Don't give up on those things. Continue to nurture yourself in order to nurture the relationship. I hope that makes sense. The other one that comes across pretty commonly in my practice when an avoidant individual is ready to leave a relationship and we're trying to fix that relationship so that maybe they feel more satisfied because they still want to work on it. They tell me a lot of times that I can't stay in this relationship if she doesn't or he doesn't take any accountability. I'm always at fault. Why is it always my fault? How can this just be me? And it's not. It's always both of you guys. Somebody has to give and take. Everyone has a little part to why this relationship is failing. You as a partner, if you're struggling with lacking accountability, you are pushing your partner away. And it's not that you're triggering them. You're pushing them away genuinely because that's not fair. You need to take accountability. Admit when you're doing something wrong. And so that's exactly what you need to do. What you can do instead, be more honest, apologize more, take accountability, realize, you know what, I am being too much right now. Let me back off. Or you know what, I shouldn't have said it like that. That was a little harsh. Whatever it is, take accountability. It's very important. The fourth one is a lot of avoidant men have told me they don't feel heard in the relationship. I've actually even seen it in session. So let me give you an example and then we can kind of talk about what we can do instead. I saw a couple in my office. So it was it was not even a telehealth session. It was in person. So I could see all their gestures, right? Because a telehealth session usually cuts off right around their shoulders. In person, they're in my office. They're at the sofa right across from my chair. So I could see their entire body language. What happened was an avoidant man spoke up during the session and he said, I feel like our relationship has become more of a parent-child type situation. The way he worded it was a little bit more strict and blunter, and I think she took offense. And he basically was saying, I kind of feel like I'm her dad, right? And she interrupted him completely. And she said, no, that's not how you feel. You're feeling like X, Y, and Z. She's always complaining that he doesn't open up. And then right when he opens up, and I see this a lot, specifically with heterosexual relationships, right? Man and woman. The man is opening up. And she's always complaining that he never opens up. And then as soon as he opens up, she shuts him down. That's not right. That's wrong. This is how you feel. And that I saw, his body language just immediately shut down. His knees turned away. He was he checked out. I could see right there. He's I tried my best. And it's almost like he was almost trying to indirectly tell me, see, this is why I don't open up. You see? It's not healthy. He should have said something, but this man is avoidant. And so he doesn't know really how to communicate these things. And he felt really unseen, very unheard. And so what can you do instead? When your partner's opening up, even if it sounds hurtful, even if it feels disrespectful, even if you don't like it, please listen. Because there's something they're trying to tell you. Even if the words are not right away, they're trying and they're not good at expressing themselves. I'm being honest. So sometimes it's not going to come across most perfect package way. It's going to come across a little messy, but it's important that you nurture them instead of insult them or cut them off. It's not fair. Nobody would want to stay in a relationship like that. That's not healthy. And so he's really checking out. And that was something that I had to really work on with both of them. He's got to speak up more, but she's got to let him, right? Like she can't take over the whole conversation. That's not fair. And so that's really important. And then the fifth one, and this one kind of ties it all up together, is feeling disrespected. Do not disrespect your partner, especially as a man. Like men don't like disrespect in general. Avoidant men, even more so. Don't compare him to your neighbor and saying like, oh, look, her husband does this. That's disrespectful. Don't talk poorly about him in front of him, especially to your friends. Don't disrespect him. Respect him. Defend him in public. Defend him privately, always. Don't disrespect him. He is your partner. And if you disrespect him, you are pushing him away and you're making him feel unsafe. So what to do instead is notice the gestures that he does do. Respect who he is. If he says, no, I don't want to do this right now, respect that. Okay, we can talk about it another time. Show him that you like him for the way he is. And I believe strongly that relationships in general with men would be more healthier if a lot of these things, the positive versions of these, were implemented and a lot of the negative versions of these would be decreased. Every single man is different. Every single avoidant is different, but this is a general guide. And I promise you there is some truth to this. Okay. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one.